The cool thing about these Thunder enclosures as well, they're pretty much pre-wired. So that way if you're using 2 single 4-ohm woofers, you got 1 terminal, you got your speaker wire in each enclosure. That way you wire them up, they already have a final impedance of 2 ohms. You're good to go. Another thing that the Thunderform enclosure comes with is these little foam pads, has double sticky side tape on the back. This makes sure that when you screw your woofer into the enclosure, it's properly sealed around the lip of the woofer. That way you don't have any air leakage and, you know, get the best sound quality as possible out of the woofers that you're going to be putting in this enclosure. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting this all around the board. Another thing is when you're drilling, you're mounting your woofer, I usually like to use a screw that's going to penetrate all the way through the actual box itself. Not halfway through, all the way through. So if you have to use a long screw, don't worry about it. Another thing you want to be careful of is slipping off the screw and going through your surround of your woofer. So I usually take my hand, start to drill, and I put my hand there. I'd rather hurt my hand than the woofer itself, to tell you the truth, because I really don't like replacing them. So right now I'm trying to get my wire through here with my wire feeder. I'm trying to shoot it up and then over to where the enclosure will be. A little bit more difficult than I expected. Right now, let's see if we can get it. So this particular 12 gauge wire from Street Wires, it's a pretty thick loom as well to protect the wire, and it actually makes it a little bit easier to run in some cases, especially like through door panels, through sails, whatever. One thing is how you're going to cut the plastic jacket. I usually just use either my razor blade or I take my crimp. If I stop shaking, there we go, and just snip it. Usually you can peel it back. If not, then you can use your razor blade. Be a little bit more careful than I am. That way you don't go through your leg. And then there you go. All right, so we got them wired up. Got my 12 gauge shot through. And what I tend to do, MTX, Thunderforms, etc., they usually suggest to you to use these as mounting holes to mount into the floor. But just in case, if you need to use this area for any reason, I want them to be able to remove it very easily. So if you just pop it out, I went ahead and put quick disconnects on the other side of this, sub lead. That way he can just pop it right out real quick and easy and have his room back. Other than that, you really don't need to mount these, in my opinion. But it is instructed within MTX to do so. So in some cases it may matter. But in this, I'm going to keep it as is. I'm going to go ahead and tune up the amp, put the dash back together, test everything, make sure it works properly, and then we're going to go ahead and show you the finished product.